I wanted to produce a series of movements and exercises to help with pelvic floor relaxation, which can help reduce pain. Even with cramping, you can do this before your period. You can do a few of these moves before you have a bowel movement. Any time that you notice your pelvic floor starting to contract and tighten up, this good series, some of the exercises alone, even to get things loosened up. So come and join me. Some of the equipment that I want you to look at having are whether it be a poof or squatty potty or a little stool, even some yoga blocks, a couple of pillows, and or the back of a couch cushion. All right, let's get started. So we're going to start in 4-point on your hands and your knees. And I want everything to just be relaxed. If this isn't comfortable for you, I have some modifications. But we're going to clue in or pay attention to certain areas in our body, like our jaw, our shoulders, a breath around our diaphragm, our belly, our pelvic floor, and our feet. These are the areas that get tight and brace when we are in a fight or flight state of mind. So we're just going to pay attention to letting go of those areas as we go through this movement series. We're going to start with some rotation. So take your hand and let it come through. And this just helps us loosen up all around the diaphragm. So again, when you start to move, pay attention to your jaw, your shoulders, your breath, your belly, your pelvic floor, and your feet. You can close your eyes if you like. I find I can pay more attention to what's going on inside of my body because I get really distracted with the visual. And I don't like being too prescriptive with the breath. Just make sure that you're breathing and find whatever breath is easy for you. And we'll do one more on that side. Noticing if there's a tendency for those muscles to tighten up. And we'll go the other way. So again, paying attention to the jaw, the shoulders, the breath, the belly, the pelvic floor, and the feet. Don't worry about how far you go. If I'm going too fast, slow down. Whatever feels good. We'll do one more. Back up into 4-point. This is where we're going to arch up like a cat and then let our belly dip. If you've had surgery recently, you might find that you want to just come gently into that. Maybe it looks like neutral. As you get more mobile, you'll be able to do a little bit further. But just listen to your body. And again, loosen your jaw. Your shoulders relaxed. Don't keep them shrugged up. Your breath nice and relaxed. Your belly. I mean, as you come up, it's going to contract a little bit, but as you let go and let it sink, let it go too. And your pelvic floor, you might feel a little more action as you tuck, which is natural. But as you come and wag your tail, picture that widening between your sit bones. And keep those feet relaxed, whether they're in that tucked toe position or flat, whatever feels better. Make sure you're breathing. We'll do one more and then we're going to come back to neutral. Dip one more time. Find neutral, and we're going to just do circles around one way. Again, just pay attention to what the tendency of the muscles is. Are they able to stay relaxed, or you just notice that your jaw keeps tightening up, or your belly keeps tucking, or your pelvic floor? Maybe you're holding your breath. What are your habits that your body goes into? Let's go the other way. So I want, maybe sometimes when we're doing exercises, we're really good at paying attention to letting go of these areas, but I want you to bring it off the mat into the world. Checking in with that jaw, the shoulders, the breath, the belly, the pelvic floor, and the feet. All right, back to neutral. And then we're going to put one leg out and we're going to rock back and forth. Now the adductors, you can either tuck your, you can tuck your toes under like this, stretching them, and come back. The adductors are the muscles on the inside of the thigh. They have attachments up into the pubic bone, so they very often are contributing to that pelvic floor tension. Are those muscles that want to keep our legs clamped together. So this is a nice little dynamic stretch for those muscles, the adductors. So again, checking in with the jaw, the shoulders, the breath, the belly, pelvic floor, your feet. We're going to switch sides. I'll just face you guys this time. Opposite leg out. Rocking back and forth. Paying attention to your habits, your physical habits. And just if you notice too much of an intense sensation, you can bend your knee and sit back. We don't want your brain to be scared of the sensation, and we don't want to bully it either. So we want to just flirt with that tension a little bit. Letting go of the jaw, the shoulders, the breath, the belly, the pelvic floor, and your feet. One more. And then we'll bring it back on the mat. Let your knees go wide, and this is a nice stretch for the pelvis, for your arms, for your back. If this is too much, the modification is a nice one as well. Do a couple of breaths in the middle here. Paying attention to all of those places, scanning down your body. And then we're going to walk the hands over to one side. And what you'll feel is a nice stretch along the opposite side. If you get that pain in the back, in the flanks of your back, down into your buttock, this is a nice one. And you can rest your head on a yoga block if you want, or the cushion. You can sit on a couple of yoga blocks. And then walk your hands the other way. And just see if one side feels different than the other. Did your jaw just tighten? Did you hold your breath? Let your belly go. Let your pelvic floor widen and relax. Your belly relax. Your feet relax. And then we're going to go onto our tummy. This is another one to progressively work towards after having surgery. If you need to lie down on a cushion, you can. If you need to just lie flat and that's enough, that's fine. But if you want to get a little bit of a stretch, you can go up onto your elbows or up onto that cushion. And this is where we really want to try and let go of the tension in our jaw, in our shoulders, in our breath, in our belly, in our pelvis. So you might be clenching your bum. Let your bum relax. And let your feet relax. And do a couple of breaths here. All right, and this is where we're going to flip onto our back. And you're going to bring one ankle over your other leg in this figure 4 position. You can have your arms out to the side if you want, or on your belly. If you feel a stretch, too much of a stretch, then you can let that leg down a little bit. Or you can bring it up and thread your arms through your leg, holding the back of that thigh. I'm really tight in my right hip, so I might just stay here for now. And when you're there, I like being a little bit dynamic and playful with the movements. So whatever feels good for you. If you want to stay still, you can. But if you want to have a little bit of movement with that, sometimes that's just a nice communication to the brain to let go of any guarding that might be happening. Just letting that sort of windshield back and forth. Feel that on the outside of the hip. Again, doing that body scan and seeing if there's any tension in those areas. I mean, if you're being active, you're going to be using your muscles, so you're not going to be too jello-y. But we want some flexibility with that movement. If we have 100% rigidity in those muscles, then they have no flexibility. And we'll switch. Bring the other ankle over. And if you go through partway in one, let's say you stay with your foot on the floor, you get halfway through this and you think, oh, I want to see if I can get a little more of a stretch, then feel free to bring it up. Paying attention to the jaw. Where is your tongue? Is it relaxed? Are you holding your shoulders up by your ears, or can you let them sink onto the mat? Are you holding your breath? Sometimes it's a little easier for your belly to be relaxed in this position. Both feet come to the floor, and we're going to windshield wiper from this position where we just let both knees go from side to side. And you'll probably feel that tug into the legs a little bit, into the quads, in your back as well, your low back. Just notice that sensation. Notice if there's a bit of fear there with that sensation. Notice if there's any guarding with that sensation. Notice if you call that sensation pain. And try and find the space where you can have sensation, but it's not fear and it's not pain. And we're going to compare. So just feel where you feel that movement in your body. Where do you feel something happening? That sensation. Where is that sensation happening when you do it this way? Versus, I'm going to get you to lie on your side in the fetal position. You can have a pillow if you want, but we're going to put our hand on our ear and we're going to let our chest go towards the ceiling. And what is the difference? Ultimately, we're kind of ending up in the same position, but it feels different in our body. Where do you notice this sensation? This one's usually a little higher up. We can feel a stretch in the chest when we open up like this. But it's nice to get the thorax, that upper back rotation, because that's where our diaphragm is, our respiratory diaphragm. And we want a lot of nice flexibility in our respiratory diaphragm. If it has some expansion and room to wiggle and move, then that's a good communicator to our brain that we are doing okay. So if you want, you could just stay here, putting a pillow behind there if that's too intense to let go in this position. And just focus on the breath while you're in this position, or you could be dynamic. So we'll switch to the other side. Let your knees come up. Go into the fetal position on the other side. Hand on your temple and let that chest open up. And just notice if you have more range of motion on one side than the other. Notice if you have less tension in one side than the other. Just making note. You don't have to get emotional about it or wonder why. Don't get stuck in the worry of why or the wonder of why. It just is. Just observe. There are lots of reasons why, and that's okay. And if you want, you could stay in one place, or if you want to keep going with the movement. Just again, checking in with the jaw. If you find it's hard to let it go, give a little wiggle to the jaw, or a little guppy mouth. Sometimes that helps to loosen it up. Take one more breath here. Good. And then come back onto your back. This is where we may want to use the yoga blocks underneath the thighs or the pillow on either side. Just so you can let go of any tension. I would probably do it equal here. I just have one pillow with me, but let's put your right hand on your belly. Let's touch my microphone. Right hand on your belly, left hand on your heart. And let's send some love to these areas. And you may notice when I say that, you might get angry. You might feel guilt. You might be frustrated. You might notice resistance to that. Just notice any emotion or challenge or difficulty in doing that. You might feel like crying. You might be crying, and that's okay. If it feels like too much, you can give yourself a dial and just dial the emotion back to a point where you can just notice sadness there, if that's what it is, or anger, if that's what it is. Again, checking into the jaw. This is where if emotions get high, we can divert our attention to different sensations. If it's too much to stay in the body right now, see if you can hear a sound. I just noticed my fridge go on. I don't know if you heard it. Something external to you. Maybe you open your eyes and you see something that catches your eyes, your attention. And I'm looking up at my plant. Maybe you look around your room. Keep your hands there because you've probably never sent love to this area before. You notice your jaw, notice your shoulders, notice your breath, notice your belly, your pelvic floor, and your feet. You are safe. You are okay in this moment. And if you want to stay in that position, you can. You want to bring your legs up, you can. Rocking back and forth if that feels nice. Kind of massage that low back area. Or staying in the center, getting a nice stretch to between the sit bones, between the adductors in that groin area, either holding behind the knees or on top of the knees, or having the legs up on an ottoman or a chair. Check in with the jaw, the shoulders, the breath, the belly, pelvic floor especially, and your feet. A little movement if you want, or if you want to bring your knees in a little bit more, some circles. One way and then the other way. And if you want, we can land here. I do have one more, but put your legs down straight. And just do a comparison to before we started. How are your thoughts? Have they slowed down? Are they still racing? Or were you foggy brained and now you feel a little more clear? Does your body feel different? Is there a sense of relaxation? Maybe a sense of flow where it felt stuck before? Kind of tune into that right side versus your left side. Get curious. Do they feel equal in size, in heaviness, in flow, in relaxation? And don't get disturbed if you don't feel equal. It's perfectly fine. The last one I'm going to do with you is a deep squat, which is a nice one. So just either roll to your side, bend your knees, and push yourself up. If you want, you can grab a block or two or your ottoman, or else you can just go into your deep squat. Put your elbows on the inside of your knees and push out, allowing that pelvic floor to relax, allowing your belly to relax. And this is a very good one for our pelvic floor, especially if you have tension and trouble having a bowel movement. This is a nice one to do before that. Let your belly go. Let your jaw go. From here, you could get dynamic if you wanted to, where you're pressing into and getting a little thoracic rotation. It's good for our digestive system. Any rotation is good for our digestive system because it acts like wringing it out, that peristalsis that gets the stool moving along. So I will leave you there. You can try any of these or the modifications.